This is a dramatized story inspired by real debt situations. For educational and entertainment purposes only. Not legal or financial advice.
$78,000. That's what the number said on the screen. I remember sitting in my car in the school parking lot, engine off, staring at my phone. It was 7:14 in the morning. I had papers to grade, a first period class starting in 46 minutes, and a loan servicer email telling me I was 90 days past due. My name is Daniel. I'm 43 years old. I teach high school history in a suburb outside Columbus, Ohio. I coach junior varsity baseball in the spring. I coach my son's soccer team on Saturdays. From the outside, I probably look like a guy who has it figured out. I didn't have anything figured out. Let me take you back to where this started, because it didn't start with a bad decision. It started with the best decision I thought I ever made. I grew up in a working class family. My dad drove a forklift. My mom worked at a grocery store. Neither of them went to college. So when I got accepted to a 4-year university on partial scholarship, my whole family celebrated like it was a championship. I was the first one. The one who was going to break the cycle. I borrowed $31,000 for my undergraduate degree, education major. Then I stayed for a master's degree because the school counselor told me I'd earn more with the advanced credential. That was another $28,000. By the time I graduated with my master's in secondary education, I had $59,000 in federal student loan debt. And my starting salary as a teacher? $36,000 a year. I enrolled in an income-driven repayment plan. My payments were about $210 a month. They felt manageable. I told myself this was fine. I told myself this was normal. Then I met Rachel. We got married at 32. We bought a small house, a $187,000 with a mortgage payment of $140 a month. We had our son, Marcus, 2 years later. Rachel works as a dental hygienist. Together, we made decent money. About $94,000 combined. We weren't rich, but we weren't struggling, except we were. We just didn't know it yet. Here's the thing about income-driven repayment that nobody explains to you at 22 years old when you're signing the promissory note. If your payment is lower than the interest accruing on your loan, your balance doesn't go down. It goes up. For 6 years, I paid $210 a month. Every single month, I never missed a payment, and my balance went from $59,000 to $78,000. I had paid over $15,000, and I owed $19,000 more than when I started. That's when I stopped opening the letters. Rachel didn't know the full number. She knew I had student loans. She thought it was maybe $40,000, $45,000. That was the number I'd mentioned casually years ago when we were dating. I never corrected it. I told myself I'd fix it before she ever needed to know. That was my first mistake. But it wasn't my last. We had a car payment, $487 a month, on Rachel's Hyundai. We had $1,402 in credit card debt spread across 3 cards that had crept up over years of small emergencies. The furnace that needed replacing, Marcus's emergency room visit for a broken arm, 2 summers where we stretched too thin on vacations we probably shouldn't have taken. Our monthly obligations looked like this. Mortgage, $1,040. Car payment, $487. Student loan, minimum $210. Credit card minimums, $300 and adding. Groceries, utilities, insurance, Marcus's activities, gas, another $20,100 easy. We were spending more than $4,400 a month before we bought a single thing for ourselves, and we were bringing home about $5,800 after taxes. We had a $4,100 a month of breathing room, and every time something went wrong, and something always goes wrong, that breathing room disappeared. The calls started in October. My income-driven repayment plan had required annual recertification. I had missed the recertification deadline. I didn't know because I had been ignoring the emails. My loan servicer had capitalized the accrued interest and placed my account in a different status. My monthly payment had jumped from $210 to $614. I couldn't pay $614, not with everything else, so I didn't. And then I stopped answering numbers I didn't recognize. 3 calls a day, sometimes 4. I'd watch the phone light up on my desk during fifth period, and I'd flip it face down and keep teaching about the New Deal while my stomach turned inside out. Rachel noticed I was distracted. I told her I was stressed about a performance review. That was a lie. I had never had a bad performance review in my life. I was a good teacher. I just couldn't be a good husband right now. I didn't know how to be both at the same time. Marcus was 7. He had started asking why Daddy seemed so tired all the time. I didn't sleep more than 4 hours a night for about 6 weeks straight. Here's where I made it worse. In November, I took a $4,500 cash advance on one of our credit cards to make 3 months of student loan payments and buy myself some time. The cash advance had a fee of $135 and a separate interest rate of 9%. I didn't read that part carefully. I just needed the phone to stop ringing. It worked for about 6 weeks. Then the credit card minimum on that card jumped because the balance was higher. Now I owed more on the credit card, the student loan payments were still coming, and I'd solved nothing. I'd just moved the debt around. In January, I went online and did a balance transfer. Moved $9,000 from 2 cards onto a new card with a 0% promotional rate. I felt smart for about a week. Then I read the fine print. The promotional rate lasted 15 months. After that, 26, 99% on whatever balance remained. And there was a 3% transfer fee, $270, added immediately. I was rearranging deck chairs. By February, I was behind on the student loans again. The credit card minimum payments were eating us alive, and Rachel had started asking real questions. Not gentle questions. Real ones. Daniel, what's actually going on with the money? I told her we were fine. She didn't believe me. She found the statements. I remember the exact moment. It was a Tuesday night. Marcus was asleep. Rachel was at the kitchen table with a stack of mail I had let pile up, and she was reading things I had never wanted her to see. Her face went very still. The kind of still that's scarier than yelling. She said, "The student loan balance says $78,000. Daniel, you told me $40,000. 6 years ago, you told me $40,000. I didn't say anything. She said, "How long have you known?" I said, "A few years." She put the papers down very carefully. She got up. She went to the bedroom and closed the door. I sat at that kitchen table until 2 a.m. That was the worst night of my life. Not because of the debt, because of what the debt had turned me into. I had spent 4 years lying to the person I loved most because I was ashamed, because I thought I could fix it quietly and she'd never have to feel what I felt. And all I'd done was make it worse in every direction. The next morning, Rachel came out of the bedroom and said 4 words that saved my life. "We need to fix this. Not you. We. I don't deserve that woman. I genuinely don't." We sat down that Saturday with everything on the table, every statement, every balance, every login. We added it all up. Student loans, $78,400. Credit card debt, $16,800 across 4 cards. Car loan remaining, $9,200. Mortgage balance, $141,000. Total consumer debt not counting the mortgage, $104,400. I hadn't seen it all together like that before. It was physically nauseating. Rachel found a nonprofit credit counseling agency, a legitimate one, accredited by the NFCC, the National Foundation for Credit Counseling. Not one of those debt settlement companies that advertise on late-night TV and charge you upfront fees before they do anything. A real nonprofit. We booked an appointment for the following Thursday. The counselor's name was Brenda. She was calm, professional, and she had clearly sat across from people in worse situations than ours. She didn't make us feel stupid. She looked at everything and said, "Okay, here's what you're working with." Brenda walked us through the landscape of options, and I want to share what she explained, because I wish someone had told me this at 25. First, she said, the student loans, federal student loans specifically, are a different category from credit card debt. They have protections and options that credit cards don't. income-driven repayment plans, deferment, forbearance, public service, loan forgiveness, if you qualify. I had been a public school teacher for over 12 years. Brenda looked at me and said, "Have you ever heard of the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program?" I had heard of it. I thought I had applied for it. I hadn't. Not correctly. PSLF, Public Service Loan Forgiveness, is a federal program that forgives the remaining balance on federal student loans after 120 qualifying monthly payments, which is 10 years, while working full-time for a qualifying public employer. Public schools qualify. I had been working at a qualifying employer for 12 years, but you have to be enrolled in a qualifying repayment plan and submit annual employment certification forms. I had never submitted a single one. That was a gut punch. 12 years. If I had done this correctly, I would have been 2 years away from forgiveness. Brenda told me not to panic. She said, "You can still file retroactively in some cases, and you can start now. 10 years from now is better than never. Always consult a licensed professional before making any decisions about your student loans or PSLF eligibility. The rules have changed more than once, and every situation is different. For the credit card debt, Brenda outlined a few paths. Debt consolidation, combining multiple debts into one loan, ideally at a lower interest rate, could simplify payments, but we'd need decent credit to qualify for a good rate. Our FICO score at that point was 588. Not great, not terrible, but not strong enough for a favorable consolidation loan. A debt management plan through the nonprofit agency was another option. They would negotiate lower interest rates with our creditors, sometimes down to 6 or 7% from the 22 to 27% we were paying. And we'd make one monthly payment to the agency, which would distribute it to our creditors. This would affect our ability to open new credit during the plan, but would not directly tank our credit score the way some other options could. Then there was bankruptcy. Brenda didn't say the word like it was shameful. She said it like it was a legal tool, which is what it is. Chapter 7, Bankruptcy, she explained, is a liquidation bankruptcy. Most unsecured debts, credit cards, medical bills, personal loans, can be discharged, meaning legally eliminated. The process typically takes 3 to 6 months. The impact on your credit score is significant, and it stays on your credit report for 10 years. It does not discharge federal student loans in most circumstances. Chapter 13. Bankruptcy is a reorganization bankruptcy. You keep your assets and repay a portion of your debt over 3 to 5 years under a court-supervised plan. Chapter 13 also stays on your credit report for 7 years. Again, this is general information only. Speak to a licensed bankruptcy attorney before making any decisions. Every situation is legally different, Brenda said for our specific situation, given that the majority of our debt was student loans, which bankruptcy typically wouldn't touch. And the credit card balances were manageable with restructuring. A debt management plan for the credit cards combined with aggressive pursuit of PSLF for the student loans was probably the most logical starting point. We left that meeting with a plan. An actual plan. Not a hope, not a prayer. A written plan with steps and timelines. That was 9 months ago. Here's where we are now. We enrolled in the debt management plan. Our credit card interest rates dropped to an average of 9%. Our one combined monthly payment for all credit card debt is $410, down from the $380 we were paying in minimums. But now every dollar is actually reducing the principal. The agency projects will be credit card free in 48 months. I submitted my employment certification form for PSLF and got confirmation that 107 of my past payments qualify. That means I have 13 qualifying payments left, just over a year. If everything continues on track, and I'm watching this like a hawk now, not ignoring it, the remaining balance on my federal student loans will be forgiven under PSLF. I check the account every month. I open every email. I answer every call. Rachel and I sat down together last Sunday and went through our full budget. She makes the spreadsheet now. She's better at it than I am, and I've stopped being too proud to admit that. My credit score, which was 588 9 months ago, is now at 1631. Not perfect, but it's moving in the right direction for the first time in years. And Marcus? He asked me the other day why I seemed less tired. I told him I finally started dealing with a problem instead of hiding from it. He's 7. He said, "That makes sense, Dad." If you are hiding something from your spouse right now, a number, a statement, a phone call you've been ignoring, I'm telling you, from the other side of that kitchen table moment, the hiding makes it heavier, not lighter. The truth doesn't get smaller when you avoid it. It gets bigger. You don't have to have everything figured out before you tell someone. Rachel didn't fix it because she had all the answers. She fixed it because she refused to let me carry it alone. Find a nonprofit credit counseling agency. Contact your loan servicer and ask specifically about income-driven repayment options and PSLF eligibility if you work in public service. If the debt feels unsurvivable, talk to a bankruptcy attorney. Many offer free consultations. These are legal tools that exist for exactly this situation. And please, please, open the mail. Get the free debt checklist linked in the description below. It walks through the exact questions I wish I had asked 6 years ago. Link is right below this video.